Guys, we messed up. But before I get into that, we got a tree coming down in the backyard, so let's go check that out. All right, now that the tree's taken care of, let me fill you in on what's been going on. Up until this point, everything's going great. The unit next to our house hack is basically finished. You know, we're on track for everything to be done. We're passing all of our inspections, like things are going really well. And we have one big project left, and that's the front porch. We knew that this was a project we wanted to tackle, but because we've been renovating over the winter, our thought process was, let's wait until the weather warms up a little bit and we'll just do this project at the end. And we don't want to do the project too early and then, you know, the crew is walking on it, carrying equipment, potentially damaging it, so we wanted to make it the last project. Makes sense, right? Well, weather starts to warm up and we're gun-ho on this porch and back deck project. So in order to see what work actually needs to get done, to get a proper quote from our contractor and to submit the correct permit, we start demoing the porch. So half the porch is demoed and, you know, they get a scope of work together, we get the contract, we get a price, we start to order materials, everything's great. Well, we go to submit the permit for the project and the town says, you need a survey. At first, we're like, yeah, but we're not expanding anything. We're not changing the footprint. We're basically just redoing the deck as is. We're not adding anything. Why would we need a survey? Doesn't matter, you need a survey. Okay, great. Usually you get a survey done when you purchase a house. But because this property already had a fence surrounding the entire backyard, already had a front porch, already had a back deck, and we had no plans to add things like garage or anything, I cheaped out and didn't get a survey. We pull an Oprah request, no past surveys have been done, we gotta get a survey. So the surveyor comes out, he does the survey, he gets all the paperwork. And now in my mind, as the property manager, I think we've solved this problem, work's gonna start soon and all is gonna be well. So I, being proactive and efficient, list the unit for a rent. I start doing showings, we're accepting applications, people are loving the place, and we sign a lease, and that's so exciting. But we run into another problem. When we go to hand in the permit with the survey, the construction office now tells us that, no. Your property is not a duplex. Your property is two single-family homes that are attached to each other. Which is mind-blowing because this whole time we've been submitting permits as owner-occupants as a duplex. Now, if you guys have seen our house, it's a side-by-side duplex. And yes, technically, each side has its own lot number, its own tax bill, and its own address. So for example, and this is just a fictitious address, our address is like 100-102 Main Street. But it's deeded as one property and as a duplex, and we bought it as such. Because our property is now two single-family homes, this type of work requires more to be submitted with the permit because it's now like a strict investment property. And they tell us that we need engineer plans. Now, Kyle is pissed. He hates when things are changed like this. Why didn't they tell us we needed engineer plans when they told us we needed a survey? Why are things changing all of a sudden? He is not a happy camper. And I'm over here stressing out because I just signed a lease with a couple that's relocating. And do I now have to tell them that their home's not gonna be ready for them and like they're SOL and they have to go make other arrangements? I'm okay making mistakes. I'm okay losing money. I'm okay going through hard things when they only affect me. And now this mistake, me being so proactive and jumping the gun a little bit with listing the unit, is now potentially going to negatively affect somebody else. And I was struggling. This literally caused me sleepless nights. It negatively impacted like my everyday for about a week because all I could think about was this. And what am I going to tell the tenants and what are we going to do? So real estate is basically solving one problem after another. So we get into execution and problem solving mode and we start making things work. Now things are still up in the air. We don't know if we're going to get the porch done in time. So we hit up our friend Justin at 12 Safe Inspections and Engineering, and we beg him to do us a solid and to just expedite this as quickly as possible. And Justin, thank you so much for being flexible and working with us. He came out, took care of everything, but obviously it still takes time. Another week and a half for the survey. Now we're looking at another like week and a half, 2 weeks for the engineer plans. Once we found out from Justin what sort of the timeline was, now we had enough information to make our decision with the tenants. Are we gonna have to cancel the lease? I go to the construction office and I'm like, listen, we have a lease signed for May 1st. What can we do? At this point, this has nothing to do with me and has everything to do with negatively impacting this couple. And it wasn't that I was stressed that the porch was gonna get done by the time they moved in, but it was the question is if we were gonna still be able to get a CO with the porch undone. So the construction office was very accommodating, and we, after brainstorming a few different ideas, we finally decide that if we can submit our permit for the front porch and back deck in a new jacket, separate from the interior renovations, that yes, we're gonna be able to close out, fully inspect the interior renovations and pass everything and close out that jacket and provide a CO. And then we'll do all of the exterior renovations in a separate jacket. While this is still not the best news, at least this is news that the tenants can still move in. So I am so relieved at this point. I am so happy, but I still have to call the tenants. Now at this point, I still feel horrible. So I reach out to the tenants and I'm like, listen, you have a few options. You could either A, move in knowing that the porch is not gonna be finished. B, delay move-in by a month until all of the renovations are finished. Or C, we just cancel the lease and you guys can find other accommodations. Obviously, I didn't want them to do that, but I wanted to provide whatever option was most preferable to them. With option A, with them moving in, but the porch not being finished, I did offer a reduction in rent for the following month by half to help financially compensate for this inconvenience. So I speak to the tenants, I explain everything, I'm trying to be very transparent with them, and they decide that they're still gonna move in with the rent reduction for a month, and you know, we'll just be open with communication and make sure everything's good. So we signed an addendum, and it's all good with that. How are they moving in, do you ask, if we're renovating the front porch and the back deck? So basically the construction office says the tenants can move in as long as we provide a safe option for them to enter and exit their home. So instead of renovating the front porch and the back deck at the same time to get them done more quickly, we're going to renovate the back porch, and the tenants will use the back deck and the back door for their entrance and exit. Then when the front porch is finished, we'll switch and we'll start working on the back deck. So it's going to make the project last longer, but at least it will be more convenient for the tenants. Okay, so where am I driving to? Well, I am driving to go pick up the final sealed and stamped engineer plans. Hooray! They are finally finished. We probably could have waited a day or two to have them delivered to us, but we were like, no. In typical fashion with this project, I'm assuming there's gonna be other delays, so wherever I can save a day, I'm going to do it. So I'm going on a road trip and I'm gonna pick up the plans. Say it ain't so, I will not go, turn the lights off, carry me home. Okay, so what does this mean? We messed up in a few ways, and I think this is a really good example of there are multiple mistakes that lead to this final problem. It wasn't one thing, it was a compounding of things. So the first mistake was starting the porch renovation too late. That's a simple one, but you know, if we started it earlier, would have given us more time. The second mistake was not understanding everything that was gonna be needed when we submitted the permits. So what could we have done? Well, we could have went and talked to the construction office maybe a month prior and said, hey, we're gonna be doing this project in the future. This is what we're gonna be doing. What are we going to need? That could have solved a lot of our problems, because then we could have gotten the survey and the plans done before we even started demo. And the third, which is probably the biggest mistake and the nail in the coffin, was listing the place for rent before it was completely finished. I thought we had a solid end date in mind, and I just wanted to get ahead of things and be efficient and to be proactive, and that got the best of me. If we never signed a lease, this whole process would have still been frustrating, but it wouldn't have been as stressful because there wouldn't have been a deadline. And yes, it would have been a little annoying to go another month or two without rent, but it definitely would have prevented the sleepless nights I had of trying to figure out what we were going to be doing with the tenants. Okay, I am pulling up, I think. Yep. We got them! Oh my god, this is so exciting. Cornerstone structural. This is not the right ones. Oh my god, good thing I checked. These aren't the right ones. So I got the papers from the mailbox, but I don't think these are mine. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. No rush.
Bye.
Oh my god, these are the wrong ones. Okay, let me go put them back. Okay, now I really have them. Yes, our name, our address. This looks great. Okay, now I get to drive home and drop it off at the construction office, and hopefully this is the last thing that they need.
I've been down this road before, it's like the backside of my hand. But there ain't nothing up ahead but cow pasture and timberland. Don't you worry, baby, I'm gonna take it nice and slow. I'll keep a tight grip on the steering wheel and my eyes on the road.
One final stop. We're going to hand the permit in. Let's hope it's as uneventful as it could be. They took it! Oh my god, this is so exciting. Every time I feel like we go to the construction office, we always need one more thing. Now, of course, they could obviously review it and give us a call, but so far, good news. They have all day tomorrow to review it, and then hopefully we can start. I'm so excited.
All right, maybe it won't be that easy, but with all the permits handed in, the crew is scheduled and all the materials here. So this upcoming week, all that stuff that's piled up behind you is gonna start to move about right around here.
If you've gone through issues like this video, comment below, tell us that we're not alone, and we'll see you guys next week.